was
You
hilarious.
are mean.
Last year was
Mayonnaise-filled donuts.
last year was toothpaste-filled Oreos.
Oh.
Good. He was teaching to avoid that stuff and eat healthy.
Just say no.
Yeah. Yes. All right, let's open this town council meeting for April 4th, please. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First item, well,
Is roll call. Counselor Albert?
Here.
Counselor Colby?
Here.
Counselor Crawford is excused, or?
yes.
Counselor Lunt?
Here.
Counselor Ward?
Here
Counselor Crafts?
is excused as well.
And Counselor Brunel?
Here.
The next item, the unified basketball proclamation, there was a miscommunication, so I will take care of that at their banquet, which is either tomorrow night or next Wednesday night, as soon as we have the information on that, so we'll take care of it there.
Would you like to take a motion still tonight to pass it?
Absolutely, please.
right.
I need a motion.
I'll make the
Order.
motion.
I'll second. Oh, go ahead.
No, you got second. That's
Okay,
what-
I'll second.
All in favor?
Okay, so it's 5-0. And does it need to be read, or are you?
Yes, why don't we please read it,
All right.
listening public?
Okay. The proclamation reads as follows: whereas unified basketball allows high school students with and without intellectual and developmental disabilities the opportunity to represent their high school by participating, experiencing, and developing and training through competition. We have found that the unified basketball program has given students an opportunity to make real positive changes in the lives of students with and without disabilities. Whereas Lisbon has participated in the unified program for the past 3 seasons, after the Maine Principals Association adopted it as an MPA-sanctioned sport. In 2015, 16, and 17, Lisbon's unified basketball, the team has won the regional championship and made it to the state game. In the first 2 seasons, Lisbon Unified played against Hamden Academy in the state championship game, both times coming up short. The 2017 season started out with a mission to capture the gold ball. The unified team went 6-2 and was the 3rd seed in the South region. In the quarterfinals, Lisbon knocked off Edward Little on March 16th. On March 17th, Lisbon hosted Bonnie Eagle in a semi-final game, beating them 62-49. That win earned them a trip to the Southern Regional Finals at Oak Hill. In the Southern Regional Final, Lisbon and Oak Hill played a hard-fought game, with Lisbon winning 39-31 for their 3rd consecutive regional title. Whereas on March 23rd at 6 p.m. at Winslow High School, Winslow, Maine, Lisbon faced the Northern Regional champion, Bucksport. Lisbon was down 10 points at half. Senior Jake Patino scored 12 points in the second half, rallying the team to take a 3-point lead with 2 minutes left. With under 2 minutes, Dawson Martell hit a clinching basket to make it a 5-point lead. The basket secured the win as Lisbon's high school's unified basketball team won the state championship, 40-37 over the Bucksport Golden Bucks. Whereas we have had a total of 13 athletes and 19 partners, and 3 student athletic coaches over the past 3 seasons. This opportunity allows everyone to interact not only on the basketball court, but also within the school environment on a daily basis. Whereas the support within the school and the community has made this a positive experience for all. Now therefore, we, the Town Council of the Town of Lisbon, on this 4th day of April 2017, would like to congratulate these students for their outstanding achievement. Well done. That's the proclamation as passed.
Perfect. Moving right along. Next item.
Next item is a public hearing for the marijuana moratorium ordinance.
I will open the public hearing. If anybody would like to speak on behalf. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Next item, Twyla.
Is the Kelly Park TIF public hearing?
I will open the public hearing for that item, if anybody would like to speak on behalf of the TIF. Anyone? How about you, Mr. Kelly? No? We're good. All right, close the public hearing. Next item.
Is the public hearing for the charter amendment.
Anybody who would like to speak on behalf of that one? Basically what that does is it pulls it up 15 days, is that?
This amendment changes the deadline for circulating and filing nomination papers to allow the necessary time needed to program the vote tabulators, print local ballots, and ship local ballots to the town clerk to coincide with the delivery of the state absentee and regular ballots. Yes, it will be 15 days sooner for filing nomination papers and 15 days sooner for circulating them.
So, anybody on that one? Seeing none, I will close that public hearing. Next item, Twyla.
Audience participation and response for agenda items.
Anybody would like to speak before the council on any topic at this time, feel free. Yes, sir. Please just state your name for our listening.
Sure. My name's Keith Bobrowiecki, Bodenham Road resident, Lisbon Falls. Just wanted to move back to town from a year absence. Looking forward to getting back involved with activities here in town, and wanted to come up and state support and ask for support for a playground to be funded by the city to be installed at the MTM. I understand that there has been some discussion on this previously, but just coming back to town and just finding out there's not a public playground for children, for us to take our grandson and others, when school's in session. And with a town of 10,000 people, I think it'd be a very, very positive thing for the town to get behind, and I'd like to volunteer my services to help make that happen once it is funded. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else at this time? Seeing none, moving on, Twyla.
On the consent agenda, Order 2017-72 to approve the accounts payable and payroll warrants 119, 120, 121, 122, and 123, along with the workshop and regular minutes of March 21, 2017, and a liquor license for Anjo's Pizzeria and Restaurant.
I make the motion.
Second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Order passed 5-0.
Moving right along.
Order 2017-73, the adoption of the marijuana moratorium ordinance. This is the second reading. It will be a roll call vote.
I need a motion.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion? I think it was pretty clear last time associated with that. Anything from the floor? No. Okay. Proceed with the roll call.
Okay. Counselor Brunel?
Yes.
Counselor Lunt?
Yes.
Counselor Ward?
Yes.
Counselor Albert?
Yes.
And Counselor Kobe?
Yes.
5 yeas. Order passed.
Next item.
Order 2017-74, adopt Chapter 46 Street Acceptance Standards Amendment. First reading, roll call vote required.
I did see in that the letter from our Public Works Director that the sections that were stricken are picked up by the other part. Is everybody comfortable with the letter from Ryan addressing the concerns that were brought up at our last meeting? I am. I just want to, I know there was questions regarding drainage and a couple of other topics.
What page is the ordinance on?
I had it too. It starts on page, the letter's on 41, and the ordinances follows that to page 44. It's everything we saw verbatim, with the exception of Ryan's letter addressing that the concerns that were raised meet the standards
Okay.
by referencing that for the chart,
Okay.
correct?
Ryan Layton, Public Works Director. Reviewing the the document that was originally sent to you folks for change, I think the biggest part that needed to be made clear was that Chapter 66, Article 3, Division 3 discusses all the road design standards for, it's in the subdivision portion of the ordinance, but it discusses how a road is to be designed, and that's when they, the way they reference that, basically covering all those items that were of concern down below.
I know there was some concern last time about the fact that there was a difference in the two standards, that the planning board document was a little bit more restrictive than the one that they were switching to. I think that was what we were concerned about.
Yeah, specifically what sparked this is going to a 24-foot wide road with their approval and recommendation to us, meeting the rest of the standards that were actually brought up in that secondary document that's referenced. That's my understanding.
Correct.
I believe so. I think
I
that-
know him on the specifics of what Mr. Kelly's, which sparked that dialogue, but that is my intention with why they looked at it in general.
Correct.
To the points that were actually brought up based on his acceptance for his subdivision.
I think the original letter from the planning board chair referenced that being the primary issue, and as a result of them looking at that, they again found these
Inconsistencies.
correct.
Right.
Good word.
And I, having heard that discussion at the planning board meeting associated with that, I'm comfortable with it. The thing that was missing before is the approval from Ryan, that, you know, staff is on board. It would be the way that I would approach it.
Yeah, I remember that conversation very clearly. It wasn't
Right.
so much that there was a big up in arms about us going down to the 24. It was more about making sure that it fit in line with what everything that you guys do.
Right.
Well, looking at this first blush, it looked like they were getting rid of all the standards for building a road. But when you read the fine print about Chapter 66 and then go to Chapter 66,
It has all of those.
yes.
Everything that was there is there. It just lives in one space versus all over the place, right? Yeah. Okay,
Everybody good?
Yep.
works for me.
If that's the case, then I will need a motion.
I'll make the motion.
I need a second.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Counselor Albert,
Yes.
Counselor Ward,
Yes.
Counselor Lunt,
Yes.
Counselor Brunel,
Yes.
and Counselor Colby.
Yes.
5 yes, 0 nays, order passed.
Next item, 12.
Order 2017-75 to set the public hearing for USDA Rural Development Grant and Loan Application.
We met with USDA Rural Development, and we have filled out most of the application, so this is just part of the process. We have to have a public hearing, and we have to send all that information into Rural Development. We're not obligated. If we are successful in getting grant funds and loan, we're not obligated. They'll obligate the funds, but it still needs to go through a referendum vote in November because of the dollar amount. And if at that time, if the public chooses not to fund it, then the monies that were obligated to us will go back into the pool to be obligated to somebody else.
In preparation for that public hearing, are we going to put something together that we saw on that workshop
Yes,
to actually get out there so folks would be able to speak on that?
yes, we'll have exactly what the scope of work is that we want to do. We'll have some information out.
Perfect. Timeframe, you talking next
The
council
next-
meeting?
Yeah, the next council meeting.
Is everybody good with that? I know we heard the list. I know we intended to go for the full list and see what financing we could get to be able to tailor accordingly is the way that I remember the dialogue. And the flip side of that, we talked about was something associated with our rate structure. We had
Yes.
to actually address that too, and
We're
that,
gonna
that
have to
is
do
in the
that at
budget.
budget time, yes.
You will hear that from you next week, Ryan, unfortunately.
You know, and
No,
it-
the unfortunately, because it is a rate increase to be able to pay for the infrastructure, be able to address that.
We can talk more about how the Dyer needs some of that infrastructure, that out of sight, out of mind. And so we need to talk about that more and why it would justify a rate increase, because if we don't address it, it's going to be a lot worse.
Right, right.
And if I may, just with
Please.
the rate increase portion of it, The amount of grant that we'll be eligible for is based on what our current rates are. So that portion of it is pretty critical in terms of setting the rates that are appropriate to fund the project, but also to the point where we can obtain as much of the grant portion as possible.
Right. It's a necessary evil to play their game. What was that for unpolitically correct?
Good job, Alan.
Thank you. I need a motion. Let's set the public hearing date.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second that.
Any other discussion before we move on? That's not a roll call, right? That's just all in favor?
Correct.
All in favor.
5-0, order passed.
Thank you, Ryan. Next item.
Order 2017-76, the Davis Street Pump Station Channel Grinder bid.
In your package, had a copy of the RFP that we sent out, along with a list of the vendors that we submitted the RFP to. We received one bid back to replace the channel grinder from Franklin Miller Incorporated, I think through their rep, FR Mahoney and Associates, for a total price of $27,512. We had budgeted $50,000 initially to replace the channel grinder. We had considered going to a completely different version, but at this stage of the game, with the other projects that are scheduled down the line, and a lot of that work being done at Davis Street, this is a good stop measure at this point to purchase this piece of equipment, get it installed and up and running, and then we'll regroup after the engineering report is completed by Oliver Associates and the grant application, and on and on and on. So
My only question to you is there a certain threshold where we actually have to get 3 bids? I know in Lewiston's, when it's over that amount, one may have replied, but this would not go through because you need a minimum of 3 bids.
our purchasing policy is that we just need to submit, I believe we just need to advertise.
Okay, so there's no minimum on the threshold, that's all I need.
Believe
Only
so.
for items that we don't go out to competitive bid. If we
Right.
have to, anything over 1,000, we have to get 3 quotes if we can.
Do you think that we would, I assume obviously you sent out to a bunch of folks, but do you think that if we reached out again, we'd see the same result with just the one coming back?
I'm going to say yes, but I'm also going to say that this was the same vendor that we got the price from.
Right.
This is the same unit we're replacing. It's from the same supplier.
So is this, and that leads me nicely to my next question. I know that when we were doing the workshops, we talked about, is this the grinder that was the smaller of the stations that a smaller grinder? Or am I
No, this is the
primary.
Davis Street pump station, the primary pump station for the entire system.
Okay.
This is so it sees potentially up to 2 million gallons of flow through that station, probably Thursday, quite honestly. So that's one of the reasons. I mean, our DEP permit does also indicate that we need to, items that are part of the system need to be operational and functioning, and we've waited to replace this because we were, we had the sewer system evaluation.
Right.
Changing the nature
Correct.
of the way that it goes through
Right.
that treatment plant.
But at this point, we're going to be at least, another couple of years before anything happens there. We need to get this item replaced.
I got no issue with the pricing, it's coming in 27 when we budgeted 50.
Yeah, no, I was
Yes.
It was asking
big
the
fan,
question, Right.
big fan.
Thank you very much.
Any other discussion? I need a motion, if not.
I'll make the motion.
Second,
I'll second.
all in favor?
Order passed, 5-0.
Thank you, Ryan.
Moving right along.
Order 2017-77, the road bond
Yeah.
paving bid.
Faster, I think it is too.
So what we've done is we had the $1.5 million bond referendum that was approved for Summer Street, Gould Road, and Bodenham Road. What we did is we put out an RFP for the biggest portion of that work, which is the paving, which is the grinding, grading, compacting, and paving portion of the work. We submitted, we sent out to 4 vendors. We received 5 bids back, with the lowest bid being Crooker Construction at a price of $1,015,794. Our original estimates for this portion of the work was around $1.2 million, so we were pretty happy with the prices that we got back. And just for a little comparison, last year's reclaim rate was $1.56 a square yard. And for this particular project, it's $1.33 a square yard. We didn't get a bid on 19 millimeter base course last year. We had 12.5 millimeter because we only put the single lift. We didn't surface it. But the 19.5 millimeter is at $51.15 a ton, and the 12.5 millimeter was $61 a ton. So I can see a $10 difference savings just by changing that material. And I think it's also the quantities. But the 9.5 millimeter is really the one where you can get a good comparison. And last year's price was $71.72 a ton, and this year's price for this project is $59. So you see the paving prices are quite attractive for this year. Crooker did the work for us last year, and quite honestly, comfortable with them doing this project. And based on the prices, we're pretty happy with that. So, looking for permission to award this portion of the project to Crooker.
My question to you was, we budgeted 1.5 with certain sections on those 3 roads that needed construction work.
Mm-hmm.
Are you comfortable with what's left of that 1.5 to be able to do the construction work that's necessary?
I think so at this point, because we did get, in addition to the paving portion, we asked the vendors for some unit costs on some of the equipment that would be used in conjunction with some of the extra work we need to do, as well as supplying and placing gravel. We specified that we were awarding the bid based on the hot top portion only. So at this point, my goal is to go out to bid and get some additional prices on the in-place gravel. And also talk to some of the folks that bid that weren't the low bidders. Allstate Asphalt, for instance, their gravel price was $15 a cubic yard, and Crooker's price was $28. That makes a huge difference with how much that we can get done. And the goal at this point is we were looking at about 4,000 yards of gravel being able to put down throughout the 3 roads. But if we can get a price that's down closer to the $15 a yard, we can put obviously significantly more out there. So kind of those limits of what we want to do haven't completely narrowed down at this point. Right now we're figuring out how many culverts we need to replace, size, and the cost for those. And based on we have about 25 culverts that we're looking to replace. And based on last year's prices, my guess is that's going to be somewhere in the $25,000 range just to buy the materials. And again, then it was get prices from contractors to do those installations. So I've got quite a bit more legwork that we still need to do in terms of that part of it. But these were the 2 big ones, so we knew what else that we could put out for additional work. And that's be my step moving forward, would be to advertise for the installation of the culverts and place them on the gravel and see if we can get some prices from some local contractors that are maybe more competitive than what we saw from the paving contractors.
The funds that didn't get used with the money from last year's paving, is any of that intended to go to this if there's overruns, or?
The intention with that at this point is to still do the transfer station
Okay.
part. That was, Crooker's already been in touch with me to figure out how much we were going to be able to do with what was left over for available funding. But our plan was to continue to do that part that we didn't get done last fall, just based on the timing of all the other projects. So the plan is to use that current existing funding to do that part that we had budgeted for last year.
And that will take it up to the turn at the tennis court, or how far are we going?
At least around the corner, and then it's how much we can do in the yard.
Okay.
The goal is to get that whole approach done. I mean, unfortunately, after looking at it this spring, I'd like to start right at Capitol Avenue and do the whole 9 yards, but I don't know if that'll fit within what we have for our current available
Funding.
funds.
Funding, right. Looking at it being a bus route, I'm a fan, so it's a primary that's actually used throughout the course of the entire season, so by all means.
Well, and quite honestly, the other thing that it's kind of rolling around, just to be quite honest, is that portion of Capitol Avenue coming down from 196 is an area that would looking to address in this coming year's fiscal year. So
Okay.
I'm trying to figure out the best way to marry the 2 projects and figure out how much we can get done on one end, and then maybe tie the other end in.
Okay, so if it's not something we talk about tonight, it's something next Tuesday.
I would imagine that's going to be quite a discussion, yes.
All right. that's fair enough. My comfort zone is, I've heard a lot about Bowdenham Road specifically in at least two areas on Summer Street, and the sales pitch last November was, we were talking reconstruction. I really wasn't gonna hang my hat on $1.1 million for paving when we weren't gonna be able to get the rest of it done just to be lynched locally. Being the poster child associated with that animosity, I'm not in that comfortable position.
I will, I mean, if this had been a full-on reconstruction, I'll give you a comparison, and that's, you know, the estimate for Main Street, from Houston Street
Yeah.
out, which is a full-depth reconstruction. I know Main Street's a bad term right now, but that's 1.8 million for a mile.
Right.
So we're looking at doing almost 6.5 miles, and we could never reconstruct that 6.5 miles.
But that was never the intention. You had specific areas that you knew
Correct.
were in worse shape than others.
Yep. Yep.
Right. Okay.
Thank you for the clarity. That's
No,
important.
that was one of the
That's
pieces that you were gonna hang
absolutely-
on. We talked about it.
Absolutely, it's critical. I think that I've been hearing things that say that some folks think that this is a full reconstruction of, and it's portions of, with the understanding that we're trying to go ahead and get the most bang for the buck. And I think you're doing a great job with that, obviously by this bid. So, but I think it's important we put it out there, make it clear what it is, and leave no doubt.
Well, and Summer Street's a prime example of, there's portions of it that really, I mean, they're really not that bad. By reclaiming it, you're gonna add to the base, you know, that fluffed up portion of ground up hot top, which then improves the stability of the base. And but it's the areas that there's clearly no base to begin with that
Far end.
it doesn't, grinding it up isn't gonna do much.
I know
Yeah.
for Bowdenham Road, I know was reconstructed in the early '90s, and there's some sections that are fine, other sections that are like, you know, oh my God, am I gonna even get through here in my car?
Yep.
That's the
Or-
If you just
or
pick
the
the worst
plow truck.
sections and rebuild those completely, and the
Yep.
other sections are fine.
Any other questions, Orion? Need a motion?
Make that motion.
I'll
Need a
second.
All in favor?
5-0.
Thank you. Next item, 12.
Order 2017-78, road bond tree cutting bids.
Again, just another piece of the pie on this one. We sent out RFPs to 4 tree cutters that have done work for us in the past, as well as putting it on the town's website. And we received 3 bids, with the lowest bid being Mann's Lumber and Tree for $42,500. Second lowest was Balfour Landscaping at $46,000, and then Malloy's Yard Care at $49,500. And based on the bids, we recommend awarding the bid to Mann's Lumber and Tree.
Now, you hit my first question, because they've all 3 worked with us, so that part's out of the way. Balfour went through and gave you all kinds of information associated with the way he's gonna deal with traffic and right-of-ways and all of that. I am assuming all 3 had to go through that process. He just spelled it out a little more in what he gave to you?
He, in the bid RFP, I left it open that I do a ride-along with any of the interested parties, and Malloy's, and it was actually James Carvo who's working with Mann's Lumber, excuse me. They actually wrote it the same day, and I never heard anything from Balfour, but he pretty much spelled it out essentially the same way that we had described it and the way we had driven it and looked at it. And we talked with, the thing for us to do, I think, is that we'll plan to shut down portions of the road when they're doing it, especially for some of the biggest stuff, because they can get it down quicker and get it cleaned up quicker, and it'll just be easier all the way around. But that's the kind of the thought process, to limit. Maybe it'll impact traffic from that standpoint, but it'll limit the need for flaggers and everything else.
You know, our public works guys, they only cut trees that are on the ground, right? Because I know we got chainsaws, and I know we got a chipper.
Yep, we do.
Just a question I'm just tossing out there at you.
I don't think that we would be able to touch what needs to get done on these 3 roads in a timely fashion in order to be able to get the rest of the work done that we need to get done based on our limited staff. we're geared up at this point to handle blowdowns. We'll go do tree trimming. We did it this past winter when we had some time. And I think that's the role of Public Works when it comes to a project like this, is that they need to stick with some of the maintenance efforts elsewhere in town. And where we have a project that we've funded like this, then we hire that part out to get it done in a reasonable time.
Any other questions of Ryan, guys? I need a motion.
I'll make the motion.
I need a second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Order pass, 5-0.
Can I back up just real quick on the grinder for a second?
Oh,
I
sure.
I apologize.
We already voted, but nice.
Well, yeah, it's,
Jeez.
well, that's why I asked you for something else. I can't find it. We received a request from Maine Rural Water to send a letter of support to our Washington delegates, I guess, senators, House of Representatives, whatever they are, requesting support for the USDA funding that we're applying for. It's one of the items that's on the chopping block. They sent us a draft letter.
Sure, I'll sign it. I got no issue
Pass
with
it
that.
around if you guys want to sign. Well, we'll have to redraft it to have your name on it, but we just wanted to get permission to send that letter of
Asking
support.
for somebody to actually have the funding for funds that we're asking to get from them, I think it's a no-brainer.
Just making
So
sure it's all
we're
right.
just,
No,
we're just
by all means.
lobbying our state representatives, letting them know to please.
Both that, and I believe Maine Rural Water was going to send copies of all the letters, because they petitioned a bunch of the smaller utilities in the state to write letters of support that they were going to then send to Washington.
Anybody opposed to that?
No, not at all.
Where it's the town that's supporting it, we thought where you're representing the town, you'd want to know that you're supporting something, so that's why we bring these to you.
No, I definitely, it's easier to buy into that than the rate increase. Let's put it that way.
Send the letter.
Thank you.
While we're reading this, Twyla, why don't we go on to the next item?
All right. Order 2017-79 MDOT construction over limit permit.
This is a standard agreement that MDOT asks the towns and cities to sign when they're doing work in our towns on their roads. Sometimes they have to use vehicles that are over limit. We don't anticipate that to happen because of the road that they're gonna be working on. So,
Right.
but just in case, they want us to sign an agreement, and you did one last year? No, 2 years ago for the Route 196 work that was done in 2015, was it, Ryan?
Wasn't last summer, so
It was, yeah, 2 summers ago. So this is something new that they've been doing for the last 4 or 5 years.
If anything were to happen, who's liable? I read all kinds of language that seemed to be conflicting.
I think there's some bond coverage in there for, that the contractor would be responsible for repairing the damage to DOT's approval, or something along those lines.
Okay, so it falls back to them to fight it out, and we're just the mediator.
I'm assuming it works in this.
Okay? Any other questions on that? I need a motion.
I'll make the motion.
Need a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
5-0, order passed. I think there's something for the council to sign. Okay. Order 2017-80, the facade grant application.
Good evening, Tracy Stuber, Economic and Community Development Director. Before you, you have approval of 2 more facade grant applications that came before the committee. And after the approval of these 2, it will bring us up to 6 businesses that have taken advantage of this program. It will also bring us probably about, depending on when the bills come in and everything is paid off, we'll be looking at about $40,000 left of our $150,000. So for those who had concerns of us not being able to spend the money, I don't think we're going to have a problem. We have, the first applicant is for 660 Lisbon Street, Barry Pomelo, and this is the former church. I not going to get into details in regards of the project, because that's not out yet. The grant award is for $20,000, and the total project for the facade would be $69,000. Again, this is a building that's been sitting there empty and is in desperate need of some work. The second application is Cheryl Haggerty. Cheryl has moved her business, or is moving her business in the downtown area from 196. And she has purchased 25 Main Street, which is the former animal hospital clinic. Her project would be coming in about $37,000, and the grant award would be about $19,000. So I'm asking for approval for those two grant awards.
And unlike the last ones that came before the committee, there were no issues with either of these applications?
Cheryl has got historic preservation that she has to follow, and within Barry, there was no issues with historic preservation, and that's always the key, is because basically dealing with federal dollars, all the applicants
Right.
or the funding has to go through approval through the historic preservation.
Okay. Provided those meet the conditions like the last ones,
Mm-hmm.
I see no issue with this. Does anybody else? I need a motion.
I'll make the motion.
I need a second.
I'll second.
All in approval of the two facade grants?
Order passed, 5-0.
Thank you.
Next item, please.
Order 2017-81, approve the bid award for a facade grant project.
I gave you a list. Like any of these bids, when you put things out there, everybody gets excited, and I actually had 12 requests for bid packets. This is for the 24 Main Street, the Moxie building. And I received 3 bids. There were 2 contractors that bid out the whole project, and 1 contractor that just bid out the window project. Again, everything was itemized based on that, because it wasn't put out as far as to bid as a whole. So it gave the opportunity for more than 1 contractor to have a chance to work on these projects, which is what the state likes. So I'm asking, as you can see, there's quite a difference within the bids. And so I will ask permission to award the bid to Restorations Home Remodeling, which is Tyler Galletti. He is a local contractor and also doing a lot of the interior work, so he's already got a good handle on the building and the needs of this building. For the 2 Main Street, he came in at $69,650. For 4 Main Street, the total was $43,450, with a total of $85,100. Because these are 2 separate entities, they were allowed to apply for 2 separate grants, because you're actually looking at 2 different businesses. So each one is able to receive $20,000. So this will receive grant funds of $40,000 total.
I'll make the motion.
Need a second?
I'll second.
And I've got Tyler in here today, and Tracy and Tony to sign the paperwork. With the rain and the weather, it's going to hold off a little bit, but I think the construction for a new roof is going up Monday. So you'll see definitely some things happening on the outside now that this has been approved.
That's a huge difference in price there. I'm just,
Yes.
is there any reason for that?
The Gordon contractor, and they came and actually did a walkthrough with the project, so they had a little bit more insight of the project. The only thing that I can think of with this company, they do a lot of federal type projects, but we're talking huge. They do a lot with military, post
They have a lot of overhead
offices.
probably that drives the cost
Exactly.
a lot
And
versus a local guy who can do
right.
it much cheaper.
Yeah. And, and that's the idea of it, that you hope that that's how it's going to go. But again, there's a process to this, and you've got to follow all of the rules according to the federal government. And if anybody, Lydia, our finance director, has said she's been all through those paperworks, and there's like 500 pages of document regarding the regs. So she said if anybody needs anything, she knows where to find it in the regs.
Any reservations to actually award this bid to Restorations?
No,
Your part?
no, not at all.
How about the Austin sitting right back there?
They
Any
signed the
reservation?
paperwork,
It's
so
all
they
done.
had,
They're good.
yes, they are good to go.
At this point, we would be just senselessly delaying further associated with a roof that needs to go on.
Yeah.
That was a goal, we really was,
Is that a fair assessment? I don't want this meeting to go sideways like the last one.
Let's get
Tony
this.
doesn't look
I was gonna say, let's
amused.
get this vote done here, because Tony's gonna go swap the
No,
buckets
good.
around.
It's good, I just,
so the original time was supposed to be tomorrow, but with the weather, it's gonna be
all in
probably
favor,
Monday.
5-0.
5-0.
Very good.
No pressure. You guys do realize you have 13 weeks, right?
Oh no, he's got less than 100 days. You haven't been paying attention.
Thank you.
I'll remind you weekly.
Next item, Twyla.
Order 2017-82, amended and restated Kelly Park Municipal Development TIF District and Development Program.
We've been through this once. We've had the workshop regarding the program. You have in front of you basically the same documents, except we had changed the development program, what we were looking at. With the Kelly Park TIF, as you know, it is already a TIF district. It's already been approved as a TIF district. There already is a credit enhancement agreement in place. Because the acreage has changed, it just makes sense to clean it up, to make sure that we pull out that acreage that is no longer eligible for the TIF. And so we're going from 48.96 acres to 15.44 acres. The property that will be under the TIF will be that of the roads, because the developer will be making that investment in the infrastructure in the roads and the apartment buildings.
But it doesn't go to his valuation. We already went over that.
That is correct. The other change is the original TIF had it where only 60% of the new value was going to be captured, and 100% of that 60% was going to go to the developer. 40% of that went basically to the tax commitment. What we decided to do in working through this, because there is so much that is going on in the Falls area, that we need to start investing up in this end of town. And in being able to do that, this is how we're going to be able to do that. I would also like to tell you that we have received word, I got a letter today, that the downtown TIF has finally been approved. So I'm very excited about that. With what we're able to capture with the Kelly Park TIF, our 40%, we can also leverage that with the downtown TIF funding. So we can really start doing some work with regarding sidewalks and getting this end of town back up to shape. So hopefully we can see development happening on this side.
I make the motion.
I need a second.
Second that.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
5-0, order carried.
Could I make one more statement, please? Okay. I just want folks to know that this TIF is just for real estate only. This is not personal property. So personal property will still be taxed and go into the tax roll. Okay?
Next item, 12.
Order 2017-83, the amended credit enhancement agreement.
You have before you the amended, again, it just reflects everything that we have gone over within this program. And I'm asking permission for the town manager to work through with legal and the credit enhancement, as well as Mr. Kelly and his legal staff to execute the credit enhancement agreement.
Our legal has already reviewed this, and that's the final document. We just need to work with Scott and his legal to make sure. And if there's anything major that's gonna change, I don't believe there will be, we could bring it back to you.
We've got the TIF behind us in that regard.
Yeah.
Give him the time to actually go through the credit enhancement, make sure it's associated with that, and move this forward. I have no issue with that whatsoever.
I'll make a motion.
I need a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Order passed, 5-0.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy.
You're comfortable with that, right, Mr. Kelly? I just wanted to make sure. I didn't want to run it through, but I didn't see you wanting to slow it down at the last couple of meetings, so I figured I'd help. Next item, 12.
Order 2017-84 to set the time for the municipal budget public hearing on Saturday, June 17th.
Any discussion on that?
I'm,
She's looking for a date.
I don't.
Time.
A time. We already have a
Time,
date.
time, we got a date, time.
Is this is in addition to our regular
This
public
is
hearing?
the
Yes.
Saturday.
Yeah.
This is the Saturday.
This is the public hearing for the municipal budget.
But is there an additional, I mean, I don't think that's necessarily fair to people who can't be here on Saturday morning that we, some people are going to say, it's been held on, the evening for, decades, and now we're gonna have, Saturday morning, people are gonna say, you're trying to sneak that by.
It's not the only one, though. This is not the only
I think we
public
need to
hearing.
schedule
This will be
That's
the
not
only
what she
public
said.
hearing.
We need to
Why?
We
I thought
only, we only publicize one public
I
hearing.
thought we talked
They
it-
can come to meetings, but this is the public hearing.
I don't agree with it being on Saturday.
Yeah,
morning.
no, see, I
It's
think
only
that
one.
maybe this was lost somewhere in translation. I think that the
We were gonna
plan
do
was.
it Tuesday.
Two, we were gonna do one, the standard that we do during the week, one of the evening days, whether it's Tuesday or Wednesday. And then the idea is to have a second on the Saturday to allow folks who couldn't make it during the week. I think that was how, I know that was my intent
That was
Yeah.
his
for
intent.
bringing it up
So you're gonna advertise for two.
for two.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Did not, I misunderstood you.
Well,
I'm
then
sorry.
that's
It's
my fault. I didn't communicate it clearly, and I apologize. I think the
So-
intent was to try to allow folks who couldn't make the weekday,
I don't-
Exactly.
weeknight, to allow
Right,
them.
that was
very-
certainly, I think, the discussion that
Right.
we
Sure.
had, it was
Yeah.
predicated on
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, well,
We
as
wanted
soon as
to
I
be
saw
able to
the-
give to as
the
many
standalone, I was like,
Exactly.
hey, no.
Well, if you can't be here on Saturday morning, you don't get to participate either.
Right.
It's
Right, right.
Switching one group of people for another.
So,
We're doing so good on Tuesday night, guys, just so you know.
I know, right? So we can, I think we still can, we could set this, but does the language of this state this is the only?
No,
Yeah.
she just, what she misunderstood.
No, so it would have to be we've got the schedule to adopt the budget on June 20th.
Yeah.
So you would have to have it the 13th, or change the date on the 20th to the 27th to adopt the budget, and then have the second public hearing on the 20th.
So Tuesday the 13th?
You get that?
So
So I
Tuesday
just say we do it
Tuesday the
13th.
13th, and then you're talking about
20th.
Saturday the
Saturday
20th?
the 17th.
No.
17th, what did I say, 17th?
Yes.
So back that up, 13th,
Because we're
17th.
gonna,
Right.
we vote on it on
Either
the 20th.
Tuesday, and then,
Right, but if you didn't, if you wanted to.
Stick with the
push
timeline.
20th to the 27th to vote, then you could have the, but that's a regular meeting night.
Right.
isn't it?
We could
Yeah,
do it on
I think,
the-
I say we do it the
so
13th.
13th and 17th, I
The
like that.
17th, and then vote on the,
The 13th is a school budget
oh, crap.
validation referendum, so we need to stay away from that.
Yeah.
It's a-
Yeah.
Okay.
Can we,
Can we do the Wednesday?
The marathon.
I'm not excited about doing that many days in that week, but I can live with it. 13, 14, and 17?
no, you would take the 13th out.
Okay, so I know what I'm talking about, overall cumulative, that week would be a busy one for us.
Oh, yeah.
We would do the school budget on the 13th, we would do the public hearing on
Probably
the,
gonna have to reschedule your council meeting because of the,
No,
no, that's not, is it? That's the second.
Yeah.
Right.
It's probably better to do the public hearing on the 20th and call a special council meeting to do your budget.
Why don't you don't do any of that and just have it, the only one you have is on the 17th, because we all know that you're not gonna have, if you get any more people on Saturday, you're not gonna get any people that aren't gonna be here. So again, do you follow me?
I follow you, I'm
Tracy, you want something to
listen
say?
to what
Go ahead,
Mark has
jump
to
right up
say.
there.
Go ahead, jump up there.
I'm going to agree. It's been one night that you've presented. It's been one night that we present. People, it's televised, just like your meetings are. I think just diversifying that, I don't necessarily think you're going to get any more or less that come with two nights. I think that you're going to wind up wasting the time on one night.
Correct.
Fair.
My feeling's
one
exactly,
day.
that's why I said it's already in
So-
here on the 17th.
What I'm hearing is if it
Make it
ain't broke,
17th.
yeah, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
What-
Because again, we're trying to do some kind of crazy knuckle shuffle right here now.
Yeah.
And we already got way too much shit on the plate.
Right.
So
Well, what it-
17th is the day as far as I'm
Knuckle
concerned.
shuffle,
Anybody
I
else in the
like
audience got anything against that?
So,
That's a good
so let's go back to
All right.
that. So the
Okay.
17th is on a Saturday. That will be
Alright.
different than what we've done in
Well-
the past. Do you want to keep it on the Saturday, or do
When
you
is
want
the
to go
school-
back to a
Do you wanna-
Tuesday?
I don't think that we go to the, I don't think we go to the Saturday then.
We
The
always
hope
done-
was to try to capture more people. Go
I just
ahead.
think we've always done it with the school before, and
School is
tandem.
on May 9th.
May 9th is, so
That's on a Tuesday.
Right. so would we not be ready by May 9th for our budget?
No.
I don't think so, so
We
we're gonna have to
don't
go
wanna do
later.
both in
Right.
one night. It's too much.
Saturday, the 17th. It's already on the
Not
schedule,
without an open bar.
right? Anybody else? Saturday, the 17th.
Let's do it. Saturday the 17th?
I got-
Try it.
I got no issue with it.
Anybody?
It's just
Again, do you want to set it at a regular time in the evening, or do you want to try a morning time?
Saturday night, I think.
I think,
we'll get
I
that.
think we're gonna run into baseball, lots of baseball if we do it in the
I
morning.
mean, if you do it in the morning, there's a lot of people that for various reasons couldn't be there,
And I
unless they
think
get
that'll
up
be
and come
probably
in.
for the afternoon too, so we just have to make a decision.
Like evening
Where do
would
we
be
think we're gonna
best.
cast the widest net? I don't think it's gonna, Saturday evening, it's gonna be
No.
ghost town.
Or we just stick with Tuesday.
Yeah.
Everybody already knows that.
Cross it right off.
And
the
if you don't
17th.
come, then
All right, so Tuesday's the 13th?
You said-
Election
We can't do
it's
that, no,
election.
that's the
So if
school.
we did it
Tuesday the 20th.
Tuesday the 20th, and then we'll change our
Yes.
adoption date to the 27th.
Yes,
Okay.
that works.
that?
Easiest.
Yeah, that works.
Well, that's putting a lot of eggs in a basket that can't fail 3 days to go before we need that budget to fly, but that's okay.
Well, you used to do it the same night of the public
Oh,
hearing.
Yes.
We used to
Right?
do a lot of things in the past, it doesn't make it right.
Okay, so just because,
Well-
I want to make sure that we're all on the same page here,
June
so.
17th being penciled out.
Yeah, no,
June
so
20th
I-
is
I-
going to
20th
be-
is the,
I don't think you're gonna get a better
with the 27th being the,
Yes,
put
yep.
together.
Yeah.
Let's put,
20th
And
and
the
then
27th.
27th, right?
Correct.
we good? So
Anybody else? Anybody else?
7 PM for both of those?
sounds good.
Did you need a motion or you don't?
Wait, we're going to need, I think we
Yeah,
need,
let's do a motion.
I need a motion.
I'll make the motion.
June 20th, public presentation on the budget, and the 27th for adopting the budget.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Approved. All in favor?
5-0.
Next item, Plow.
Okay, Order 2017-85, this is the order for the charter amendment, which would say that the town council has determined that the proposed amendment shall be placed on the ballot at a special municipal election to be held
It's already done
in
for me.
conjunction with the school budget validation referendum on June 13th, 2017. This order would also say that the council proposed the charter amendment question 1 to be placed on the ballot at a special municipal election on June 13th. So motion to approve the order would be in order.
I need a motion. It's moving the dates.
yeah, I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Order passed, 5-0.
Next item.
Order 2017-86, the town council recommendation for question 1 on the special municipal warrant.
I need a motion.
It could be for a yes or a no, council recommendation for
Correct.
question 1.
Recommendation would be yes.
Yeah.
I need a motion on that.
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
I need a second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Order passed, 5-0.
That is actually adopting the.
It's coming right up.
You want to read that specifically?
Yeah, when we get to the warrant, it'll be
Yep.
right there.
Why don't we do that? It's coming, Dot. Basically what it does is it plays with the dates, moving them forward, to be able to make the time frame work a little better for what Twyla needs to do for the election. That's the short version.
You just take out your papers earlier and get them back, a little earlier too, same way. So it's same window, but, it's just moved a little earlier into the summer.
Sure. Yep.
Yep.
Appreciate that. Next item, Twyla.
Order 2017-87 to set the register hours, casting of absentee ballot times, and the quantity of booths to set up. A motion would be in order to set the register hours on June 5, 6, 7, 8, and 12 during regular office hours at the town office and on Election Day, June 13th during the polling hours at the polling place, and casting of absentee ballots at the polls at 11 a.m., 12 p.m., 5 p.m., 6 p.m., and 8 p.m. in accordance with Title 21A, Section 759-7, to set up an adequate number of booths and to set the polling location at the Lisbon High School gym, with the polling hours being from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. on June 13th.
Make the motion.
That's in her wheelhouse, so I'm gonna defer to her, so I need a motion. Exactly.
Yeah, I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Order passed, 5-0.
Next item?
Order 2017-88, the municipal referendum warrant for June 13th, 2017. The question would be, question 1, shall the municipality approve the charter amendment reprinted below? And so we've reprinted section 7.02. It would, under B, change, all separate papers comprising a nomination petition shall be assembled and filed with the town clerk as a single document not earlier than, strike out 85 and insert 100 days, not later than, strike out 45 days and insert 60 days before the scheduled date of the election. And if the 60th day falls on a Saturday, Sunday, or a day recognized by the state of Maine as a legal holiday, or a day that the Lisbon Town Office is closed for business, the filing date shall be the next regular business day.
That was the motion.
That's the question on the ballot.
That was the information you were looking for, Dot.
All of it.
All of it, in its entirety. I need a motion for yes, that we want to adopt
To
that.
approve the warrant.
Did we just do that?
So the warrant now. I'll make
To
the
adopt
motion.
the warrant.
The-
yeah,
to do the
separate
warrant.
question.
Second.
All in favor?
Order passed 5-0.
Next item, 12.
Order 2017-89 to set the date for the school budget validation referendum and public hearing. A motion would look like to set the school budget validation referendum election on June 13th, 2017, to set the school budget public hearing at LCS on May 9th, 2017, and to authorize the town clerk to print ballots as previously done using May 16th, 2017 as the adoption date for the school budget, and to include the non-binding question.
School committee chair, you're cool with those, right?
Make that motion then.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Order passed 5-0.
Next item, 12.
Order 2017-90 to approve the school warrant validation referendum budget warrant. We have a warrant for you to sign.
Does that need to be read, or we just need to approve the warrant?
We need to approve the warrant. I think it's one of these that we sent around. I was looking for
One
it.
of these?
So it's one of the ones going down the table now.
It's a charter.
The motion to approve what we're signing right now.
Right?
I need a second
We
on
m-
that.
Second that.
All in favor?
Right, I think we'll need to get you to sign that in tomorrow.
Correct.
Okay.
I don't think that you have that in front of
Haley
you.
sent it over, but
Okay.
I
No,
don't
this
think
is
it made
the-
it into the warrant.
That's not what you have right in front of
This
you.
is the Kelly
Yeah.
part.
Can I have this
Perfect.
back, please, so I can send it? That's all right. I'll
We
send
can
that
come
down
in
there.
to sign at your leisure.
Yes.
Next item, 12.
Order 2017-91 to accept the donation of the Help America Vote Act election equipment. Basically, this states that the state of Maine is retiring their Help America Vote Act election acquired equipment, and they're willing to donate it to the town of Lisbon, but they want the hard drive back. And so we've asked them for an extension of time to send the hard drive back until we can purchase a scanner so we can continue scanning cards into the system. But they would like to donate their fax machine that we use on election day, and some of the other equipment, the PC, the hard drive, the printer, and the Dynamo label printer we use.
So with the exception of having to find a way to be able to work around the printer, the scanner, it makes your life easier.
Yeah, we could use that equipment, I think.
I'll make that motion.
Need a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Order passed 5-0.
Next item, 12.
Other business?
School committee report.
Nothing to report that I didn't meet last night.
That was very official. Planning board, they met the last meeting that we had, later in the week. They approved a conditional use for daycare at 34 Summer, and they're currently starting work on the comprehensive plan and beginning that dialogue. That would be my report. Water, Mr. Crawford is out, so moving right on to LDC again, Mr. Alba.
You don't like me, do you? So there are some happenings, but I'm not at liberty to kind of go into all the details. There's some changes coming. I know there was some initial talk about the greenscape down in around the Miller Park area, and so more to come at a later date.
Sure, that's fair enough. Conservation,
I haven't had a chance to meet with them, so there's really no update there.
okay. Recreation,
Nothing to report.
county's a non-issue. Library,
They're just continuing on with what they've been doing before, so again, no update.
okay. Manager's report.
Last week, I contacted MDOT regarding Route 125, the Main Street project. It's scheduled now and for the spring of 2019 to begin work. So I checked with them to see if there was what they wanted to do in the interim, because we're not gonna be able to go through 2 more springs with that road. And, so they're looking in to see what they have for funding, to see if they can do something in the interim. I also contacted Gina and Garrett Mason, and Gina's working with Megan Russo to see if they can come up with some funds. They have other pots of money down there, so
Lots of money.
That road's
Lots of
always
money.
2 years away from being rebuilt. And
Yeah.
ever since I've been on the
But
council
they understand
7
that
years.
we can't wait 2 years. Something has to be done to that road. So we're hoping that they will be able to put some type of light skim coat just to get us by.
So looking for a Band-Aid, basically.
Yeah, we'll go in and, you know, once it dries up, we'll fill the potholes the best we can, and then hopefully they can go over it just to get us by for the next 2 springs until the spring of 19.
Not knowing that Diane and, I knew Ryan and Diane were actually working on this, I didn't know what level. I fired off an email myself to Garrett and Gina today, asking for assistance as well in that regard. Basically, I know we set a funds aside last year to be able to address that advancement. To have it be 3 years too late, I think that's unfortunate to have it be on our dime to actually put down an overlayment just to have it torn up when the project. Never mind the fact that it's also 2 years too late for all the stuff that's actually going down on the 196 in Main Street corridor. I'd like to have, with all that work that's actually being done, it's not crap that we're actually driving on in Main Street. So,
Okay.
is there anything that we can do to be able to make that be a better thing? I'm hopeful.
Putting a bunch of new money into the businesses on those roads means nothing if nobody wants to drive the roads to get to them.
Right. And I said, I have no idea, it seems positive, so I'm hopeful. It's better than telling our constituents that are pissed off this pothole season, you gotta wait 2 more before anything happens. So, we'll see where it goes.
And then I attended a Positive Change Lisbon meeting last night with a lot of folks in the downtown area, businesses, not all in downtown, but mainly in that area, and it was a really good meeting. We talked about a lot of different things, what's going on with their businesses, and some concerns that they had with mainly the plowing and some parking. So it was good. We had a great meeting. There's a lot of positive energy going on right now in the town, and hopefully we'll meet on a continuing basis. That's all I have.
Next item, Twyla,
Is audience participation for new items.
anybody got something they'd like to say? New items, that's based on what we talked about tonight, or is that for future?
New items.
Future.
You-
Anything else?
Nothing on the agenda.
I saw Dot's hand, come on up, Dot. Yeah, but you're moving.
Dorothy Fitzgerald, Lisbon Falls. I don't know if it's a 2% or a 1.5% wage increase. I haven't been able to attend meetings, but I have been watching them on TV, both council and budget meetings. And last Tuesday, you had Diane with a library on the hot seat for almost an hour, nitpicking her budget. $4,000 for an employee going from part-time to full-time. She always has a very reasonable budget, and yet the police department,
Excuse me.
in adding a lieutenant for I don't know how much, full-time, without a blink of an eye. We're going to be looking at some high-ticket bond items. We're going to be looking for some high-ticket increases in public works and the sewage treatment plant. You guys need to take it easy on the taxpayers. I didn't get a big increase in my Social Security. I've got a daughter that owns property. She works as a receptionist in a medical office. She didn't get a wage increase. There are very few people, residents, taxpayers, that did get a wage increase. I'm sure that, and I know so many employees in the town, and I'm sure they're all deserving of a wage increase, but there are so many taxpayers that do not get one and have to pay their taxes. The police department, Lewiston, Auburn, Topsom, Brunswick, I see they have police cruisers. They're regular vehicles. They're sedans. Why do we need SUVs? They're bigger. They cost more to buy. They're higher on gas. The tires cost more money. Maybe going down to regular vehicles rather than SUVs might save the taxpayers a little bit of money. You've got to start taking it easy on us. I am struggling My building needs a lot of repairs. I don't have the money to repair it. Please, take it easy on us taxpayers, please.
I can try. Anybody else can chime in. Going through your list, Dot, right now, the 2% that was originally in the budget, we pulled that back to 1.5 for discussion purposes through the course of this budget. The $4,000 is not going to a full-time position. It's expanding hours for one part-time position by 8 that amounts to 4,000.
I know, I listened.
Okay. In that,
I had to turn my sound up to 22 to hear.
okay. In that, it's for a future discussion because you're absolutely right. The point that we're actually trying to make here is that looking at the full basket of goods, not victimizing our first department head out of the gate for the second year in a row on her budget, that having a future discussion on all new programs to actually compare them inclusively. The lieutenant's position for $104,000 was cut from this budget in that same meeting. And your discussion associated with police vehicles, the size of the police fleet is an active dialogue item that's actually out here with this council. So we are being receptive to what you're actually expressing. I hope that addresses your concerns. Thank you. Anybody else have anything on that? I know you specifically with the library. I don't want to take the parade away.
Right. No, I think Dot made a good point there about the library. I think that's, we have to be careful not to demoralize some of the parts by fighting over, a few $1,000s and then, give somebody else, okay, here's $500,000. We have to be careful about how we,
Exactly.
Right.
Without a blink of an eye.
I think, as you say, Diana at the library does a lot with very little, so we do need to support her.
Take my humor with a grain of salt. It was a 3-hour meeting. There was a lot of eye blinking associated with a budget that's $1.5 million increase. We're taking it seriously up here.
We're looking at some big ticket bond items.
Agreed. We're not hashing new. Stay tuned. Ryan's on the hot seat next Tuesday. Moving right along.
Council Communications?
Anybody? Moving right along. No executive session, but I need a motion to dismiss.
That's great.
I will make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Order passed, 5-0.
I think that's the fastest route.
No, I had the I did? Yeah.
Well, look at that list of stuff. I mean, just
Oh, no, as I said, it's a lot of stuff.
I know. I looked at that list and I'm like, oh, we'll be here 2 hours.
Yeah, that's,
It's out of here before that snow starts.
Nobody thought I could do it.
These are easy.
Yeah, right. He almost doubted me.
It's like, people are falling asleep.